I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. So good, so good. I got you. I feel nice. A sugar and spice. I feel nice. A sugar and spice. So nice, so nice. I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can't do no wrong. And when I hold you in my arms, my love won't do you no harm. And I feel nice, like sugar and spice. I feel nice, like sugar and spice. So nice, so nice. I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can't do no wrong. And when I hold you in my arms, my love can't do me no harm. And I feel nice, like sugar and spice. I feel nice, like sugar and spice. So nice, so nice, I got you. Wow, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I would. So good, so good, but I got you. So good, but I got you. So good, but I got you. black private dick. That's a sex machine to all the chicks. You're damn right. Who is the man that would risk his neck for his brother, man? Can you dig it? Who's the cat that won't cop out when there's danger all about? Right on. You see, this cat chef is a bad mother. Shut your mouth. What I'm talking about, Chef? He's a complicated man, but no one. Okay, all right. I'm in a new studio, y'all. What's happening? How y'all doing? Give me a thumbs up if y'all can see me, hear me, and all this good stuff. I see you in the chat. Hello, Susan, Carolyn in the chat. We got over there on Getter, man. We over there, TBB in the house. Okay, can you see me and hear me now over there in Getterland? How about now? Just give me a thumbs up over there. Should be able to see me now because I see myself over on Getter. So I told you guys I was changing studios, right? Okay. So I changed studios. This is and this camera's kind of wild, man. This is a wide camera shot and everything. So I left, let's say StreamYard, okay, and so this is kind of weird. So I'm like trying to learn, the nuances of this Rumble studio. I am live, definitely on Rumble, streaming together and X and other different Rumble stations out there. And hey, Lisa, I see you over there. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. So we can do the Rumble chat. People see the Rumble chat. I can't get the live chat for Getter. I don't think I do live chat on Getter, and X is not available. So I was trying to get the live chats up, right? And so Jackie, I see you over there. So thank y'all for tuning in. Now, so you guys might have to, hang with me for a little bit until I figure this all out. So you guys see I'm having shaved and anything. It's been a long weekend, man. It has been a long weekend. Let me tell you, yesterday, my day started at like 4:00 a.m. in the morning when my son took his girl to the doctor to have a baby, and she didn't have the baby until 1:20 yesterday afternoon. So we were at the hospital all that time yesterday. So I was really beat down. Felt like I was coming up with the cold and whatnot. And but I'm cool. I'm okay. I'm here. I had an open house to do, so that's why I'm not at the hospital, because I had an open house to do. I sent mom over to the hospital, and I'm a little, feeling a little down. So I didn't want to be around my new grandbaby feeling down or feeling, sick or anything like that. Thank you, Susan. So I promised you that I'd be here back today, and I told you what we were going to do, at least for the first half. I was going to play
because to finish up where we left off last week, right? So I was going to play Isola Foster, share the screen and and do that. And I'm hoping I can do that because like I said, being in the new studio on just straight Rumble, streaming live out from Rumble, it's new. So I'm in the Rumble studio. So I'm hoping you all can see everything. And this has a donations link and everything. So if you guys want to donate, go ahead and donate. I want to see if this works. Somebody donate $1 or $5 or something. I want to see if that works. So I can put you up on screen if you donate too, so I can say thank you too. So, but like I said, it's been a long day. So, we finished up our 3-part series. I'm gonna hit my sponsors in a minute. I actually can read campaign sponsors from here too, so this is pretty cool. So first, I'm gonna read my first sponsor, because I know they're out here from Supermassive Black Coffee. Are you tired of the same old corporate coffee, diluted and devoid of character? It's time to break free from the chains of mediocrity with Supermassive Black Coffee. Crafted from 100% organic beans, this coffee is fire roasted in a Victorian era roaster, a relic from an age when true craftsmanship thrived. This unique process allows the flames to caress each bean, unlocking bold, rich flavors with dark chocolate undertones and a smooth, smoky finish. In a time of soaring coffee prices and supply chain disruptions, Supermassive Black Coffee stands as a beacon of quality and resilience. While others compromise, this brand remains steadfast, delivering a brew that defies convention and invites coffee lovers to explore the depths of flavor and mystique. Join the rebellion against the mundane. Visit supermassiveblackcoffee.com and use code MAMBA MAMBA for 20% off your order. Embrace the conspiracy and sip the mystery. Yeah, I guess it is that time of year. I hope you're feeling better, Lisa. Um, it's a bunch of things I want to get into, but like I said, I'm gonna play this. I think it's very interesting, and she's on point, right? I guess before, okay, so, and also, what I'm gonna ask you all to do is everybody that watches on Getter, right? I love you guys. I love you guys. See you over there, 007. I appreciate you. I see you. Hello, Rana. Um, I can see you, but I hear an echo. Well, it's possible that you may hear an echo. Um, I don't know why you hear an echo. I have the echo turned down, but K9 girl, I'm glad you're here though. So what I'm gonna have you all do, I want y'all to switch over. You don't have to do it this week, but next week, okay? I want y'all to switch over to Rumble. You can watch on Getter too, but log into my Rumble over there and just search Jerome Bell. It's my Rumble channel. And the reason I say that is because on the campaigns over here where I read these ads, I have to have like a total of 10 people or whatever, minimum of 10 people, and I know it'd be thousands over there on Getter. And so if you put you guys over here on Rumble, man, it'd be kind of cool. And then you guys can see the Rumble chat. You guys can see the YouTube chat. All you guys get to chat together and it'll just blow up. So if you all want to go to Rumble right now and check it out, just search Jerome Bell, Jarome, or the Radical Republicans live show. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can put a link in the chat. I don't know how to do that from here yet, but but I put a link in the chat. Or like I say, that's just the Radical Republicans live show, or just search me JAROMEBELL, and oh, I was reading something, and then just go there and I believe you can follow me. Okay, follow me so you get the notifications when I'm going live, and then you can watch from Rumble, and all you guys can talk together, right? Because it'd be pretty live. All you guys can talk together, and I appreciate that. If you guys do that, check it out, and then let me know. Okay, let me know what you guys think. Let me know, and so because I would love to get my Getter chat and my Rumble chat and my YouTube chat, all you people together, and it'd be kind of cool. So, okay, so like, what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to play this. Your brush for screenshot of your capture. Yes. Okay. So this is my first time sharing the screen on here, right? So with Zola. So I'm going to share this and I'm going to blow this up so you guys can hear it. And because I think this was actually she was so cool and this was actually
News with educator
hold on.
Isola Foster. She speaks about problems in American schools that she says stem from the
Okay, and this is from California. This is from 1997. So I want you guys to understand this, right? This is from and some of I played a little bit of this last week, okay? But this is from 1997 and everything that she mentions, right? Everything that she mentions here is on point today. Is on point today. I don't know how to take me off the screen, but I'm going to figure out how to work this thing, right? and I might just pop me off, but I'm going to play this and let that roll and let you guys listen to that while I figure out some more things about this Rumble. I appreciate it. So I expect to see all y'all over on Rumble here soon. So here we go.
politics of cultural identity in our society. Her comments were made earlier this month at a forum hosted by the John Birch Society in Dedham, Massachusetts. Ms. Foster was a teacher in Watts, California, and the South Central area of Los Angeles for nearly 3 decades. She's a columnist for Headway magazine and the author of the book, What's Right for All Americans.
Thank you. It's always good to be among friends. I'm usually out debating or fighting over issues with those who do not believe. It's not that we're preaching to the choir, but we do have to get the message out to everyone. Actually, I've been teaching for 33 years, and during that time, I have seen some major changes in our public schools. Basically, what has happened is that our children are being educated today to become world citizens rather than American citizens. And that is very, very dangerous. When I first started teaching, the trend then was values clarification. Now, I have to tell you, my values were very clear. So I didn't quite understand why the schools were in the business of clarifying values. Well, I learned that really what it meant was that our children was to not have a value system at all. And this came about actually in the long before I came into teaching with the introduction of psychology and psychiatry into our public school system. And I remember Thorndike, who said, and his theory rang true with the rest of those who have demonized our children, that man has no soul and only react to stimuli. And that is the way our children are being taught. And of course, they have no soul because their soul was taken out of their teaching in that 1962 act that took God out of our schools. Had nothing to do with separation of church and state. What it meant was to take away from our children a sense of direction, of guidance for their young lives. Now, I am very critical of the movements of the 60s. I blame them for much of the ills that's facing our country today. The Chicano movement has given our schools overcrowded classrooms, funding that is just taken over educational funding now with bilingual funds. As a matter of fact, that's what that Ebonics thing was all about, money. Bilingual funding is the biggest gold pot now of educational funding. And Black teachers, Black students were not considered minority bilingual because they are American and they speak English. So our illustrious Black leaders decided that no, they're not American, they're African, and no, they don't speak English, they speak Ebonics. And as a result, now they also are getting some of this bilingual funding. I also blame the feminist movement because they have turned our little girls into wanting to be little boys. They have turned our young women against men. They have brought in abortion on demand, anytime, any place, anywhere, with or without parental consent. And I also blame the homosexual movement, because they are in our schools now and they are pushing these programs that are detrimental to the lives of our young people and to the future of America. But most important, am I distressed with the political Black movement? I am distressed because I am part of the race of people who were brought here as slaves and are now being used to enslave all of America. And I see this in our public schools. We in Los Angeles, the second largest school district in America, have all of these groups ingrained in teachers' unions. You have your gay and lesbian commission for your school board and your teachers' union, your what they call African American commission, your Chicano or Mexican American commission, your all, you name it, Native American. And they've divided our people into all of these groups, each with their own agenda, and they're using our children as political pawns to support their agenda. Now, what bothers me most about the movement is because I was part of it at one time, because I bought into the fact that the more political power we have, the more freedom. Not so. And I look at what's happened to our young people. Now, I really do not recall going from being colored to Negro. I remember in the 40s and 50s growing up as a Negro, and all Negro meant was that our ancestors were brought to America as slaves from Africa. That was it, plain and simple. However, the 60s brought in the peak of the political movements, and so the Black leaders decided that we were no longer to be called Negro, and that from now on we were to be referred to as Blacks. Well, again, I was fresh out of college, didn't bother me too much. I thought, well, great, that'll mean more political power. I bought into it also. And then after the media brought attention to the fight against apartheid in South Africa, the Reverend Aunt Jesse Jackson held a press conference and told the media from now on refer to us as African American. And since that time, we've been known as African Americans. Well, there's another name change on the horizon for us. They're going to take us back to being people of color. The reason is that they are so busy promoting illegal immigration, and they feel that most of the illegals, especially in California, where it's really a big problem, our downtown Los Angeles is like a third world country, but we have 2,000 and 3,000 people coming over the border on a daily basis. We're about to go bankrupt in so many areas, but most of the people coming in are from Mexico, quite simply because Mexico, the proximity makes us right across the border. It's much easier. So whatever group of people would be living right on our border, we would have more of them. But they're considered people of color. And so as I debated with the head of the NAACP and the Urban League on the issue of Proposition 187, throughout the entire debates, they continue to refer to us as people of color. So again, that's the next name change on the horizon. Now, what does that mean? In our public schools, particularly in Los Angeles, and believe me, folks, it happens there, it's on its way to your communities also. You might identify with some of the programs that I'm going to talk about tonight. They may be coming into your communities under a different name, but they're coming in. And one of the things that these groups have brought into us is the fact that Old Glory is not even flying in our American public schools anymore. Many of the classrooms are void of Old Glory, but they have foreign flags flying. And unfortunately for us, for our little Black children, they are being told to pledge allegiance to an African American flag, a flag that's just been made up. Now, some of you may be familiar with those. And before I go on, I want to explain to you, when I talk about the Black leaders, I want you to know exactly who I'm talking about. I am talking about the NAACP, the Urban League, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the Congressional Black Caucus, Jackson and his group, and Calypso Louis Farrakhan and his group. All of them, because they coalesce as one, and they have a chokehold on the Black community. And if you think I'm kidding, Just remember what O.J. Simpson told the jurors in his closing arguments. Remember, you have to go back to the community. What that means is that these groups have control over the community. Now, why is that frightening? Because you have had gangsters like Crips and Bloods who have made and killed our innocent young children going back and forth to school, who have killed innocent young children while sitting in their living rooms watching TV. Many of you don't realize it, but these are children of parents who have bucked the system, of parents who have tried to complain about what's wrong. So there is no way that these groups could have grown to the prominence that they are today without the leadership of the community there to support them and their growth. So that is what I mean about the chokehold on the community. And in our classrooms, there's also a Pledge of Allegiance to, I guess, this African American flag. Our children do not know that this great nation of ours is a republic because they don't pledge allegiance to the republic for which we stand. And so they're confused and they don't understand it. Their loyalty is not to their own country. And how has this come about? It's all because of our involvement in the United Nations. The United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, has dictated these problems for us in our public schools because they have dictated the policies and the programs. And you've heard of some of these programs. I just mentioned values clarification. You get them in different names: behavior modification, peer counseling, group counseling, and then, of course, your sex education and your health education, and you name it, AIDS education. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, in some of these AIDS education classes where they talk about safe versus unsafe sex, some of the things that our children are being introduced to as sex acts, many of you would never even dream of entertaining or being a part of. So they've broken down the willpower of our children. That's why you will hear them say, oh, well, our children are going to have sex anyway, so we might as well tell them to what to do or what to use and so forth. It's nonsense. And the reason they're saying that is because they are the ones who are breaking down their willpower. Now, again, made up flag, made up Pledge of Allegiance, made up culture. Kwanzaa. Now, I'm sure some of you have heard of it. I happen to have known the man who started this. It came from the top of his head. And believe me, when I say this, he just made it up. His name is Ron Karenga. He worked at a school. We worked both at an adult school at the time, early 60s. And he formed an organization called United Slaves. He and his U.S. followers had a shootout with the Black Panthers in the cafeteria of UCLA, where 2 people were killed. He was sentenced for torturing 2 of his female followers. He resurfaced, gave himself an African name, and now he's head of Black Studies at one of our major universities in California. Does that matter? No. Now Hallmark has 15 different varieties of the card. Texaco got in trouble because they would not recognize it as a holiday. And it's made up. What an insult to Black Americans. And that is an insult to our children. And where is it coming from? It's coming from a concerted effort to divide America and also dissolve America. And that is the purpose for all of this. Now, I'll give you a good example of what I'm talking about in terms of this leadership. When the CNN did coverage of the Militia Man March, and I know some of you think it's the Million Man March, but it is the Militia Man March because this was Farrakhan's way of showing his military might. And the reason he had so many young men there because Farrakhan's lieutenants were speaking from the pulpit of our Christian churches, encouraging these young men to come there. And many of them were innocent and not realizing what was going on. So I'm sitting in CNN studios in Los Angeles waiting to be interviewed as Leon Harris is interviewing 2 young men, a Crip and a Blood, from the site in our nation's capital. And these 2 little gangsters said, well, you know, the reason that we did what we did to our community is because of lack of leadership. And that's why we're here to support Minister Farrakhan. lack of leadership, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you what the leadership was for these two gangster groups who have terrorized our community so. The most powerful politician in the state of California at the time, some say even more than the governor, was Willie Brown, Black. Their congressman at the time, Augustus Hawkins, Black. Their state senator, Black. Their state assembly representative, Murky Waters. Maxine, to you. Their mayor, Tom Bradley. And they had, the city councilman had been on the city council so long, he was known as the emperor. Now you tell me, with that kind of leadership over Watson, South Central Los Angeles, we should have had the closest knit families, the highest achieving schools, the safest streets. But no, during that period, U.S. News and World Report, Newsweek, Time, all writing about us because we were known as the killing fields, the war zone. This is Beirut, USA. That is what that leadership gave Watson, South Central Los Angeles, and that is what they're spreading throughout America. Because as Farrakhan talks about a separate nation, I haven't heard any one of them, instead of opposing it, they've joined in solidarity with him. And that is very, very frightening. And it hurts me because I can see the effects on our young children. Even when they call themselves African American, the first thing I say to them is, what country are you from? They don't know that Africa is a continent with many countries, each with its own flag, each with its own culture. But it is so sad that this is what is happening to our young children. So we have the mental breakdown. You have all kind of mental health institutions coming onto our campuses. We have our children that's being drugged by the schools. You've heard all the talk about Ritalin. And when you get this magazine on education, it will answer all of your questions, because the New American Magazine on education covers all of these issues that I'm talking about and even more. But can you imagine that our public schools are now in the business of drugging our children? And more than that, they are now bringing what's called Healthy Start on our school campuses. We just had a school in Los Angeles, the first one, and you know, when it's just like the camel, when he gets his neck in the tent, you may as well let him all the rest of the way in. That's what's happening. When it starts in Los Angeles, look for it. Healthy Start. Now they have a full-time doctor and full-time nurses on campus. So your children don't have to come to you with any problems. None. They get a referral for abortion without your permission. If they have a tummy ache and whatever the problems may be, they don't have to complain to you. The doctor is right there to take care of it. Now, at one time, it used to be that the students needed permission just to take an aspirin. No more. Well, the students will get in trouble if they don't go to the nurse. They get something heavier than aspirins now. But these are some of the problems that's facing us in our school system. Not only the drugs that are given to them, but the discipline. It's a problem. It's a problem because I can tell you as a teacher, if you do not have control of your classroom and if you do not speak truth with the children, they can tell that, and they can tell when you're honest and you're not. So what happens is some of our young children come to school and they're much brighter than the teachers who are teaching them. So they become a discipline problem. And how do we do that? We, of course, give them a drug to calm them down. Now, I've seen a lot since I've been in the education system, and I've complained a lot about what's going on in our system. I remember at the school at which I spent the last 11 years, most of the children are there illegally, or their parents are here illegally. So the teachers' union representative at the school decided to show her government and social studies classes a film called The Wrath of Grapes, which is about Cesar Chavez and the grape pickers and so forth, and just build up the emotions of the children as they looked at the film showing young children who were maimed and disabled because their parents picked grapes while they were pregnant and so forth. And so after the teacher got them so emotionally involved, the teacher says, now, for class credit, you can join us at the market, neighborhood market on Saturday for a grape boycott. And all you have to do is hold the protest signs. Join us on the picket line. You're going to get class credit for that. Well, my students, whether they are here legally or not, they know that as long as they're in my charge, I'm going to take care of them. So they came to me and told me about it. And I went to this later and I said, you can't do that. You can't use our children like that. And I stopped it. But now they're doing it through community service, which is going to be mandated. So if your child will go and join a picket line that they are, of course, you have to be of their ideology. You cannot be politically incorrect. That's community service. And it's mandated in some of the school boards. We have a program in our school system there. And again, I understand from some people that I'm talking to, it's coming into your areas too. In Los Angeles, it started around the mid-70s. Actually, there was a counselor at a high school there, a lesbian, who was entrusted with the care of a young girl for a weekend competition, had an affair with the young girl and decided, well, now 10% of our students are homosexual. So she came up with a program called Project 10. Now, when it was introduced, the idea was to counsel young children. Now, can you imagine a homosexual telling a child with the potential that, no, it's a very dangerous and unhealthy lifestyle? It's a recruitment program. Now, many schools try to avoid it, even when it's passed. And how is it passed? When it's placed on the agenda at the school board, parents hear about it, they fill up the school boards and protest. Well, the school board members decide they're going to move it down on the agenda. So the meeting started at 3 o'clock. Here it is, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes they go until 9 o'clock at night to wear down the parents. And then when no one's not looking, it passes and it's approved. The fact of the matter is these programs are already approved and ready to be implemented before they even brought to the parents. But at any rate, this Project 10 came in. And at my school, it had been there for quite some time. Nobody really paid much attention to it until a couple of homosexual teachers came and they decided to popularize the program. Well, I had been on a show entitled, Should Homosexuals Have the Right to Marry and Raise Children? And my students saw me on the show. So the next day, as they always do when they see me on these television shows, they want a little discussion before we start our lesson. And they asked me, well, Ms. Foster, what do you think about Project 10? And I gave them my opinion. A couple of days later, the director of Project 10 walked into my classroom and said he wanted to talk to me. And I said, fine. I'm thinking we're going to walk outside of the door. But he stops me in the middle of the floor in front of all of my class. And he says, I understand you said thus and so about Project 10. And I said, yes, I said that. And I'll tell you what else I said. And I went on to give him my full opinion. So when he walked out of the door, the students applauded. And I said, why are you doing that? You already know my opinion. And they said, oh, no, Ms. Foster, when we go into his classroom, we're going in there for our math class. He has these posters of half-naked men in sexually alluring positions, some darn near kissing. And it's so embarrassing, we can't concentrate on our math. And I said, well, have you told your parents? Well, as I said, most of their parents are here illegally and they don't want to get involved. And I said, well, have you told the other teachers? And they, yes, but they told us we have to be tolerant. Well, I went to the principal and sure enough, the principal told me to mind my own business. Well, I have a bad habit of sticking my nose in business when it concerns our children. So I went, first of all, to the classroom. Not only were the pictures up there, but there were pages from the homosexual newspaper advertising for young boys and animals and everything else that they want. So then I told the principal, if those pictures do not come down, I'm going to the media. And I did, and they came down. But I'm no longer at the school, so I'm sure they are back up. And there are not many who are going to complain because of what happened to me. You cannot stay within the school system and be politically incorrect or speak out against these programs. Many teachers try not to get involved, but I don't know how you cannot be involved when you see what's going on in our classrooms. And it's not just the homosexual movement, and I've mentioned the others to you. But it's all kind of programs that's designed to take the child away from the family in terms of its loyalty. And I'm sure many parents, good parents, teach their children right from wrong. But when they get to school, it's, hey, what does old mom and dad know? Do your own thing. It's your values. And who can tell you who's right and who's wrong? That's what that 1962 Act did. There's no such thing as right or wrong anymore. Well, I would explain to my children right from wrong. And as I talk to them about immigration, for example, it may not be a problem here from you, but it will be, because the people have realized, as my students tell me, we're on a year-round schedule. We work 4 months, they're in school 4 months, and then we're off 2 months. Well, they go home to Mexico. And then they come back and we laugh and talk about our vacations. And the first thing they say to me is, Ms. Foster, our people over there, our families think you Americans are so stupid. There is no way that you could come to Mexico and get away with what we come here and do. We're the laughing stock of the world because we are not controlling our borders. And for many years, I wondered why? Why? Both Democrats and Republicans, they will not control our borders. You cannot protect your people if you do not control your borders. Why? They want open borders because they want America to go from being an independent nation to an interdependent nation. And I don't think that's what you want. And if our children knew better, they wouldn't want it either. But they don't know better. Why? They do not know what their freedoms are. They do not know of the 3 basic freedoms granted us by the Declaration of Independence, because they don't teach the Declaration anymore. Because you might have to mention the Creator or Providence or the righteousness from heaven. So it's not mentioned. And our children think their right is for the government to take care of them. Their right is for the government to redistribute the wealth so that they can have what all the rich people have. They don't understand the liberty that they have here. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, property. All of that's going by the wayside as long as we remain in the United Nations. Our private property, well, we see how the environmentalists are making sure that we lose that over some little rat of some kind or whatever they find that should not become extinct while we lose our property. And they also make sure that our families and our children are divorced from each other, because it takes a village to raise a child. We all know it takes parents whose authority is not undermined by this meddling socialist government now in control of our country. That is what it takes. And it's going to take us to get back in and take over our schools. The only way I can see we can do that, folks, is to get government out of it completely. Now, many people go berserk when I say that. Many people wonder, well, oh, what are we going to do? And this thing about putting these labels on our children, at risk, impoverished, poor. I tell you, I am so glad these euphemisms were not around when I was growing up poor, that people didn't tell me because I was poor, I was at risk. Poor means your pocket's empty, not your mind. Poor children can learn just like any other children if they're taught properly. So there's a problem here with this. Whenever I think about these euphemisms, I tell you, I remember the story about Winston Churchill when he came to America and a luncheon buffet was served in his honor, at which fried chicken was served. And he went for his second helping and he asked, could I have a breast? And his hostess said, oh, no, Mr. Churchill, in America, it's dark meat or white meat. So the next day, Mr. Churchill sent his hostess a beautiful corsage with the note, I'd be much obliged if you pin this to your white meat. So much for euphemisms. But the reason that they put these labels on our children is because there's a program that they want to experiment on our children with, and there's more money for that program. Now, you hear all the time that the problem with education is that we're not spending enough money. That is not true. And the success, if you look at our homeschooling, parents who are homeschooling, how successful they are. You saw the spelling bee we had recently, where the homeschool girl won it. And the teachers' unions and the rest of them were so upset because the girl shows so much exuberance. Well, that's what competition is all about, isn't it? Isn't that what they do on the football field after a touchdown? Well, that was a touchdown. But again, they do not want competition. Competition can be healthy, but that's not the way it's presented to our young people. So we have all of these problems in all of these groups. And I want to say to you, we are all Americans first and foremost. And don't think that because you're white, you can't tell what's happening in a black life, or because we're black, we can't tell what's happening in a white life. We're all human beings. We all bleed red. We all know pain. I mean, it hurts me just as much to get slapped by a white as it would to a black. Pain is pain. But we hear these things about, oh, you don't know because you're not one of us. You know, when I went to school to learn and to prepare myself to become a teacher, I didn't go there to teach green children. I went there to teach children. We were taught in educational psychology because all children go through a psychology as they're growing up. And it is up to us to steer them in the right direction. But the reason you hear these things is because, again, to divide our children. And I tell you, I get totally confused sometimes about just what it is the leadership want. I can remember growing up in Houston, not far from my high school. There was Houston College for Negroes, and then a few blocks down was University of Houston. Well, of course, the NAACP filed a lawsuit to integrate, and so the Texas legislature said, okay, the schools are so close, we'll merge, make it one. The NAACP says, oh, no, we want our black schools. Now, I was in high school, but I was confused by that. But again, you know, in high school, you're trying to live as a child, and you think as a child. But when I became an adult, I began to question a number of things that's going on, and the big lie that's being told to the people. And I have to tell you, I've always felt this way, and I've had equal time in both parties. So I'm not pushing one party here over another. When I reached voting age at 21 at the time, I registered and became a Democrat. I mean, what else did you know in the black community in the South but being a Democrat? It's almost like the story of the little girl who was watching her mother prepare a chicken for roasting, and she says, Mom, why did you cut the wings off the chicken before you put it in the pot? And the mother said, oh, I don't know. I guess because my mother always did it. So the little girl went to the grandmother. She says, Grandmother, I asked mother why she cuts the wings off of the chicken before she puts it in the pot. And she says she did it because you did it. Why do you do it? And the grandmother says, oh, I don't know. I guess because my mother did it. So the little girl fortunately had her great-grandmother still living, and she asked her great-grandmother, you know, I asked my mother, I asked grandmom, and they both said that they did it because they saw the other do it. Why did you do it? She says, because the pot was too little and the chicken was too big, so that's what I had to do. So what we did, we just followed in our parents' footsteps. They were, you know, something that bothered me, my parents would always go to vote. Now, this was long before the 60s, but our young children today, they think we could not have voted before the 60s. Nowhere in America were blacks allowed to vote. So that's the distortion, the lies that's being presented to our young children. Universities, they really believe that prior to the 60s that we were not attending major universities. I tell you, when I graduated from high school in 55, I had a couple of C's too many, and I didn't have the grades to get into the big universities. But my girlfriend, very, very bright, did. So she went on to one of the major universities, and I went to the local school, which is now Texas Southern University. That was the name changed to the school. I got a good education there. She got a good education where she was. I couldn't compete with her in high school. I know I couldn't have competed with the people in college. So what I'm saying to you is that when we tell children that we're going to give you extra points to get into college based upon the color of your skin, we're not doing them a favor. I had a very good friend that I work with. She's an adult now, had a visit with me recently, and we were talking about affirmative action. And most of my friends are very liberal, I have to tell you. I preach all the time. But I was surprised when she told me that she was against affirmative action. I said, really? And I said, I'm surprised to hear you say that. And she says, well, it's on my experience. She said, I went to Georgetown University from 76 to 80. And when I got there were 20 blacks that entered in there with me. 8 of us were admitted on our merits alone. The others were given extra points because they were minorities or communities where they were from, or basically because of their skin color. And she said, 4 years later, of the 20 of us who enrolled, 8 of us graduated. The 8 who were let in on their merit. And she said, I felt so sorry for the others because their hopes were really up there, but there was just no way that they could compete. That is a real tragedy, folks. It's a real tragedy. And that is what's happening in our society now, because we're playing the race card, and no one's playing it better today than the Billary administration, the race card. Here is the president who's setting up a commission to study race relations, race reconciliation, and this thing about reparations for slavery. You know, the issue of slavery was answered with the Civil War and 2 amendments to the Constitution. Get over it, folks. It's over. It's behind us. But what we're doing is we're calling for enslaving everyone with these policies that we're coming up with. In our public schools today, our children are not learning to read, to write, to think. They're learning about all of the social issues. When Nelson Mandela came to town, the schools let out. All of the school buses rolled loaded with our children, thanks to the teachers union and the school board, so that they could fill up the Coliseum. When Butha Lacey came to town, complete silence. Now, both these men were friends. They even grew up as friends in South Africa, and both were from well-to-do families. They parted ways on how they would fight apartheid, not whether or not they both would. And the idea of using the necklace to intimidate people, the way that it was used in South Africa is, to me, it's the most horrendous thing. Now, when Winnie Mandela came to town and she raised her fist saying, with the necklace we will liberate, and these children are just having a ball, clapping, they didn't know. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the necklace, you may recall when the media first started televising funerals of a slain ANC comrade, and you saw thousands of African people marching behind them. What had happened in 1976, young children were taken from the poor shanty town, ages 6 to 14, and they were trained in PLO training camps. And so they were brought back in, and it was their job when it was time for a funeral to make all of the people come out to go to the funeral. And if one neighbor said, no, I don't want to participate, then that neighbor had his hands tied behind him. All of the other villagers were surrounded in a circle to watch as this person with the hands tied behind him had an automobile tire filled with gasoline put around his neck, set a fire, and once the fire started, there was no stopping as the rubber would melt into the body. Now, believe me, if that were being going on, if that occurred in your village, you would march behind them also. Now, they don't teach this to our young children. They just thought a necklace, oh, that must be really nice, a gold necklace. That is what I mean about not educating our children. Our schools have become socialist training camps. And that is why I say to you, there's only one way to change it, and that's to get rid of public education altogether. There is no other way. They keep telling you about reforms. Reform this and reform that, but you still have those teachers' unions in there, and you still have school boards who are geared towards this world citizen that they're going to make our children, towards teaching our children that, in fact, even our history books now give very little history about America. What is given is so distorted, but they're teaching our children that the only way we'll have peace is through the United Nations. I understand that the United Nations flag is flying in some of these schools. I know in our city council in some areas in Los Angeles, the people are having a fit because they have recognized the CNN flag flying in our council meetings. There's a pledge, I understand now, pledge to the world that's being said. They're going after our children. They have just about taken over. And unless America wakes up and gets strong, and let's have that pioneering spirits of our founding fathers, of those who went before us, who gave us this great nation. As I tell my children all the time, of all colors, this land is your land, and it is yours, so it's your heritage. What is the legacy we're leaving our children? As long as we are having public schools, we are not leaving them the America that we have known, a free America. Because once we have allowed ourselves to be completely consumed by the UN, we can say goodbye to our liberties. There are people that complain about separation of church and state. We are free to worship at whatever church we want in America. How long do you think that will last, with the UN deciding what church, if any, they will recognize? There are those whose only issue is abortion. And it's a great issue because a nation that kills its young will not long survive. And there is no reason. There are those who talk about, oh, it's just a little mass of tissue. Don't bother it, and it's life. So I say to them, join us in this bandwagon, because we're under UN directives. You don't have a choice. Death and life will occur as it pleases the state. Too many people, we have to get rid of some. Need more workers here in this area? We might have to, okay, you can have more than one baby or two babies or what have you. So these are the kind of freedoms that I'm talking about, folks. It's not a matter of just fighting one little issue here. We've got to come together. We are talking about this great nation of ours. And the one sure way for us to cease to exist as a nation at all is for us to become a tangle of squabbling nationalities. And that is exactly what's happening in our public schools. And this is why we have to take this bold step. Now, I know that there are those who say, well, what are the poor going to do if schooling were left up to the parents and the community? Best thing that could ever happen to America. The best thing that could ever happen to America. And as far as money is concerned, just a few weeks ago, designer Carol Little gave a beautiful state-of-the-art building to a community there for them to run it as their school. It will be fully equipped, fully financed until they're able to get on their feet and raise their own funds. No government funding, no government dictates. Well, listen, we just had Ted Turner to give, $1 billion to the UN? Well, I wonder, I was about to say perhaps we could get Uncle Sam out and get Uncle Ted in, but we would have the same kind of program, so we wouldn't want to do that. But there are those out there that do have money, that I'm sure there's got to be businesses out there who recognize what's happening to our great nation and would be willing to help us make the change. But it really doesn't take that much money. It really, have you picked up the old primers that were used in early education and looked at those? There's so much material out there that you can use for your students, for your children, that it would work. And I know that there are many educated people in all of these communities who would be willing to help our children and our parents. So let us not be weak-kneed. We must be strong, and we must take that bold action, and that is what we need to do. And it is not only in the way that we worship that's threatened, it is not only in our young lives that are being aborted hourly, minute by minute, it is also the kind of families that we want. The tradition, the American traditional family. I remember I was speaking at Pepperdine University, and there were some young boys sitting up front, and I said, everybody asked me, what does Americans for Family Values stand for, which is our organization? And I said, well, we want you to know we believe in love and marriage before baby and carriage. And I thought those young men would fall out of their seats laughing because that's so foreign to them now. They have no idea what that means. And I told them, I said, if you were as bold with young girls in my day, you would have been at a shotgun wedding. You get that girl pregnant, you were going to marry her. And I tell you, some people say, well, that may have not have been good, but it's better than what we have today. There are so many young children that are without a father in the home, and some the mother is half there. There's so many grandmothers raising these children. What has happened? I know families are good families, and they've tried and they've done the best they could. But again, here you have a school that's working against what the families want for their children. You have a society that every time you turn on the television, whether it's early in the morning, in the middle of the day, or in the early evening, you have graphic sex acts. I don't know if there's a movie made without a graphic sex act. As a matter of fact, I was channel surfing one time, and it was a good movie, a drama. Got into it. Next thing I know, this graphic sex acts, we had nothing to do with the program. And to me, it takes away from it. So our children have no innocence anymore. And that's the one thing we have to bring back. Now, in closing, I want to say to you, a lot of people have asked, how is it that my husband and I became members of the John Birch Society? In the more than 11 years that we've been out here fighting, we've met a lot of very fine people in many, many organizations that have courted us over the years. But we found that these were organizations that just meet, eat, and retreat. And we didn't have that kind of time. And then I happened to have been on the Larry Keene show, and a gentleman out of Utah, Dave Jorgensen, called, got my husband on the telephone, and they were kindred souls from the beginning. And by the time my husband got off of this long telephone conversation, he told me, you're going to be a speaker in Utah at a family God country rally. And that's where I met Dave and his wonderful family. They were Mormons, and they took us to the Mormon temple, just a beautiful family. But you know how you John Birches do, as we were getting ready to leave. Take this book and read it, or here's a magazine, or here's some information. And so we began to read, and my husband he's not the kind that will jump into anything. So we continued to put it off. And then in June of 96, I did a speaking tour in Northern California, and we met more wonderful Birches and got more reading material. So we finally decided that this is the organization that's really trying to do something. And this is an organization that believes in America, that believes in God, and believes in a strong nation. So, and they do something about it. So that is why we decided to join. And one of the coordinators from Northern California, after learning that we joined, called us, and he said, Isola, you and your husband Chuck owe us back dues. You've been Birches a long time. So I want to say again, it's been such a pleasure to be here and to share some of these views with you. And the only answer that I can give you to the problem is the one that I just did. And it's one that I would ask you to pursue strongly and to spread the word, because I believe that this nation of ours definitely is worth saving. And I believe it will take us to do it. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be with you.
There it is. I thought that was important to hear, to listen to. I mean, if everything she said in 1997 was totally prophetic for what's going on today in our schools today, right? I mean, everything. I mean, to the letter, to the T. So we know it's been going on a long time. And if you watched my series, those of you that did, I know there's a bunch of you that did, watched all 3 parts. It's totally goes into my concept and my story, my series about communists and Negroes. Communists and Negroes. It's been going on a long time. I say this has been going on since the 30s. You know, it's been going on since the 30s. And for those of you who may not have seen that series, you might want to go back and watch the 3-part series. It's 4 weeks, but you can watch it in a few hours. But it's 4 weeks because part 2 took 2 weeks. And man, I just thought she was amazing. Louis said he went out and bought the book, her last book. I mean, I know she's hated, man. You know how many people hate on her? What call her traitor to her race, Uncle Tom or whatever. The woman is amazing. Was amazing. Still is amazing. I thought, what was that? 48 minutes or something like that. I thought that was the best 48 minutes I've seen all year. Unless you was watching my show. Unless you was watching the Radical Republicans live show. But seriously though, man, it's amazing. Yeah, but I hope y'all like that. I hope it didn't take too much of your time. I hope that wasn't too boring for you. You know, it shouldn't have been boring. But hey, I want to give a shout out. I just found this out, right? My son just told me. I want to give a shout out to my grandson. His name is Cairo, by the way, my new grandson that came yesterday. I want to give him a shout out because he came right on time for people to say happy Grandparents' Day because today is Grandparents' Day, National Grandparents' Day. So all you grandparents out there, happy Grandparents' Day. So Cairo came right on time, so my son told me happy Grandparents' Day. Happy Grandpa. I'm known as Papa. And it's Papa because my dad was Papa to my son. So I took over for him, for my grandson. So I'm gonna be Papa. It's amazing. So, but anyway, so that was a good day yesterday. Long, beautiful, but good. I would share pictures, but I don't share pictures of any of my kids on the internet. Sorry. They're grown now, so you know I'll do it. But when they were kids, no. I never shared any pictures of my kids on the internet. Especially now, man, with the way people steal shit and use AI, and man, it's just retarded and crazy. And so, but I appreciate y'all tuning in. Like I said, I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm not going to go see Cairo today. But you know, a couple of things I did want to talk about though, because I still get attacked by cult MAGA, right? I call it cult MAGA because if you guys seen the show, because those are the people that think President Trump can't do anything wrong. Let me ask you guys this. Does he seem different to you guys? And I know Jamie's a grandpa. Jamie, I see you, man. Happy Pop Day, Jamie. But does Trump seem different to you guys? Seems totally different to me. And what I mean by different is that he's playing with all the globalists now. To me, and I know what Carolyn is gonna say, but to me, it's different. I mean, he comes out yesterday and says, "Well, vaccines are good." I mean, he's at the table. He has Bill Gates sitting next to his wife, who is seems like she's petrified, sitting next to this dude. I don't know if you guys saw that video. Look at how Melania was pissed. Melania was really beside herself that she had to sit next to this dude. And I would not have that dude sitting next to my wife. What the fuck was Donald thinking about? To put him next. If anything, he would have been sitting next to me if he was at the table, but Bill Gates would not have been at my table. Zuckerberg would not have been at my table. You know what these guys, I mean, so shit's different, man. And it's crazy because I talk about my sister, right? So I talk about my sister. She's like the biggest liberal in the family, I think, and she has the TDS syndrome. I mean, but a lot of stuff she's been saying is right. I'm like, dude, you're making my sister right, man, right? And I don't want my sister to be right. I don't want, I I want America, and I've changed from America first, not America first anymore. I'm totally America only. I'm America only. That's it. That's all I care about, truthfully, right now, because we're in such dire straits here in this country. I just had to pay $4.03 a gallon for gas. I mean, I'm like, that's not sort of what I voted for. And I know, give them time. The tariffs haven't kicked in yet. Give them time. They're going to arrest the elites. Give them time. They're going to release the Epstein list. Give them time. Give 'em time. Well, time is one thing we don't have. If you guys understand politics, you really open your eyes and get from between Donald Trump's legs, you can actually sort of see what's happening. And what you better do, here's I'm going to give you some advice right now. Okay? And Carolyn say he's out of lies, he's doing dumb shit. I got it straight from family. We've been played. He's always been part of the cabal. That's what Carolyn says. There it is. Boom. But here's what I want y'all to do. I'm gonna give you a little bit of advice because I think it'll help you here in the long run, right? And I'm not giving you financial advice. This is just what I've done. Let's say that. Okay. I'm not gonna give you any advice per se. But I'm against all the digital, like changing currency, digital banks and everything and all that shit. Palantir, all that. You guys better get you some cryptocurrency. Find out what cryptocurrency the Trump family has invested in, the cryptocurrency that Palantir and these other companies are invested in, like XRP, CRO, ETH, okay? And it's not really the Bitcoin. These are the other ones because Bitcoin is a little too expensive. These are cryptocurrencies that the Trump family has started on their own cryptocurrency base, basically, with Coinbase. Okay, so I just dropped a few hints: XRP, CRO, ETH. ETH is going out of the world, and ETH is blowing up like Bitcoin. I bought ETH a long time ago, but it's blowing up like Bitcoin now because the CRO and the XRM and all these other all these AI companies are going with that model. So I'm just saying, okay, go to Coinbase, get you a wallet on Coinbase, be able to buy you some cryptocurrency and just sit on it. I'm buying what the Trump family is buying because they started their own cryptocurrency. And this is why he's really bad. I think the assassination attempt, I think the poisoning attempt or whatever, right? The attempt on his life. And people look at me like, dude, you just hate Trump. And how can I hate the guy? I voted for him 3 times. I campaigned for him. I shook his hand, up on stage at Mar-a-Lago. I battle my sister daily because of him, right? But people say your hate for Trump is showing. Why? Because I'm just pointing out shit that he's doing that I didn't vote for, right? Oh, you just hate Trump. No, I actually want him to do the right shit that I voted for because I don't want to face my sister at Thanksgiving dinner and she'll be like, "See, I told you so. I told you he was racist. I told you he was a motherfucker. I told you he didn't care about America. I told you he was just all of this shit, man. I'm gonna have to deal with, right? Not that I care. I don't really pay attention to her, but I mean, with some of the stuff she's right. I mean, the unemployment. She's talking about. See, look at what's happening now. Biden created all these jobs, which we know was fake. A lot of it was part time. A lot of it was illegals. A lot of it was 800,000 had to come. I mean, but in her reality, right? We only created 22,000 jobs in August. 22,000 jobs in August with private. That's not, a lot of the jobs with Biden were government jobs. We understand that, right? I know we have to wait for the tariffs. I know we have. I get the wait part. I'm tired of people telling me, "Hey, man, we gotta wait." And I'm cool. I'm waiting. I'm chilling. How much time are we gonna give Bondi to arrest people? How much time are we gonna give Bondi, you know, to at least bring charges on some folks? They have the information. And then now the biggest lie, this is the biggest thing too right now. Man, a lady jumped, I'm going to stop following you because you hate Trump because, I said that Trump was not an FBI informant. What are you guys talking about? Because Mike Johnson came out and said he was informing for the FBI. He was not an informant for the FBI. There is nothing. Go ask Grok. Shit. I haven't put up a post from Grok. Go ask Grok. He was not an informant. He gave some information on Jeffrey Epstein, just like any one of you would do if the FBI came and asked you about a person or asked you questions. He gave them some information, and then somebody said, "Oh, he was an informant with Rudy Giuliani on the mob with his casinos." I'm like, will you guys stop? Will you guys stop? There's no documented proof, nothing documented ever that Donald Trump was an FBI informant. I mean, you got Lucas. I mean, you got shit. You got more documentation on Al Sharpton that he was more of an FBI informant. Now, I gave you two documented FBI informants during my 3-part series. Right? You got Julia Butler, right? Julia Brown, sorry. Right? And Manning Johnson. Name had slipped me for a minute. And they were undercover for 10 years, right? When you are an FBI informant, let me explain something to you. You are undercover. You are embedded for years. For years. You might be a snitch, or you might be a person that they come to what they calling people in I don't know, another person that might tell you something, or another person or whatever. I forget what I was thinking about SUV or something, that show, but the terms that they use. But he was not an informant on Epstein because he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. So which means he couldn't even monitor anything that Epstein was doing. So how can he inform on Epstein if he's not running with Epstein, right? But so Mike Johnson comes out, now these people are saying, and they're doing that they're trying to somehow make it good that he's not dropping the list, or they're not coming up with names, or that his name may appear in some documents because he was, I think it's just doing worse, for them to try to create a reason why he was around Epstein because he was an informant. Stop. Cut it out. All right? Just cut it out. And if you guys want to stop following me and be mad at me because I'm just pointing out shit, then it just is what it is, man. It just is what it is. I see you guys still over there on Getter. You guys are quiet, man. I mean, was it that boring? Did the video just shut you guys down over there, or what? Or what? Nah. But yeah, so that's one of the things that's that's going on now. We have to watch what's happening, and people are getting impatient, and I know we have to have patience, but here it is. We don't have a lot of time, because if you understand politics, like I was going to go into, you understand we have until 2026. We have until 2026. Do you guys realize? And do you know that how many people are not running for Congress again on the Republican side? They're running for Senate. They're running for governor. They're doing all these things to make these seats available in Congress for hopefully another conservative, a true conservative or something. But what happens in 2026 if the Democrats, the communists, they're not Democrats, the communists, what happens if the communists take over the House again in 2026 like they did in 2018, you know what's going to happen. It's a wrap. So everything that we wanted, everything that we voted for, we're not going to get. And then they're going to say, oh, well, it's because we didn't. And then they'll blame us, right? And then they'll blame us. Oh, well, it's because conservatives and Republicans didn't get out to vote for Republican candidates. So they'll try to shift the blame on us when the communists take over, right? We didn't. When I think it's part of the plan anyway, because they really don't want to govern because we're holding their feet to the fire. We're holding Trump's feet to the fire. We voted for you because you ran on releasing the Epstein list. You ran on reducing prices. You ran on energy prices. You ran on, right? This is the stuff you ran on. You guys passed the big, beautiful bill whenever it's supposed to take effect. Fuck, I don't even know when that shit's supposed to take effect, December or some shit. Then you're into an election year. Like I told you guys, before my 3-part series, they were going to come back off of recess of their vacation to Israel. And then they're going to come back and want to do another CR because they don't have the 12 bills that they wanted to vote on that they were supposed to vote on. So now they're going to give us another big $1 trillion omnibus bill or whatever, or another big, beautiful, whatever the fuck. And they're going to kick this can down the road and still not pass a budget. And still not pass a budget and give us a CR. So that's the next big thing, because we're in September, end of the fiscal year in September 30th. They're not going to have a budget to pass. So they're going to kick the can down the road. And then they're going to wonder why people aren't coming out to vote for them. They're going to wonder why people are not coming out to vote for them. And and it's going to be a travesty, but I'm going to, and I'm letting you guys go now. Because you guys can come at me if it doesn't happen. But until somebody get arrested, until they start doing the shit that we voted for, I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm gonna keep bringing it up. Some people get mad. It just is what it is, though, right? And but you guys be back when. I don't know. You may not, because then you're gonna be embarrassed to say, "Yeah, you were right again, man. You were right." But so to me, that's the biggest thing right now. He's a different dude. Watch what he's doing. He's in bed with these guys, man. And I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Carolyn says it's a cult and everyone is under a spell acting like damn parrots. I don't know. It's just, what do you guys think? You tell me. Give me your opinion. I want people. I want to read opinions. I read Carolyn's. Carolyn is always tough and hard, so I read Carolyn's. Give me your opinion. What are you pissed about? Louis, let me hear from you, brother. What are you pissed about that may not be happening that you voted for? Okay, let's just do it like that. Let's do it like that. Getter, I'm watching you over there. Getter chat. What's not happening that you voted for? What are you upset? Are you still saying, or are you saying, and it's cool if you are, give them more time. Give them more time. And that's cool. I'm not going to talk about you, if you are, but I just want to know. Okay, Susan says the list, right? Susan, they say, what somebody told me the other day, Susan, will you get over it? There is no list. Somebody actually sent me that. It's not a list like you think. I'm like, well, what kind of list are you talking about? It's not names written down. I'm like, really? I'm like, you really have people out here saying now that the list isn't the type of list that we're talking about. I said, okay, well, if you took the names off of, the names, let's say the girls, because you guys saw the press conference. So if you took those names that they talked about, right, and you wrote them down on documents, is that not a list? So I said, yeah, you're right. You're right. There's no list. I said, but they have videos though. Excuse me. I said they have videos. So what about that? Let's use the videos because they have videos of the players. You guys understand that, right? They have videos of pretty much everyone that did something. And if it's not here, it's in Israel. They know where it's at and they've seen it. And this is why these people are so reluctant to drop the list because many of them are probably on it. Many of them are on it. Louis say, I trust Trump. I get it, man. I'm hoping to trust him too. I voted for him for 3 years. I trust him. But my trust is wavering a whole lot right now when I saw Zuckerberg and Bill Gates at the table. Why isn't Bill Gates in jail? He continues to talk vaccines. He's not a doctor. He doesn't have a medical license. He's not a scientist. If any one of us would do that, we would be in prison practicing medicine or whatever without a license. Why is he at the table? Why is he at the table? Susan says, also release the secrets of NASA, 9/11, etc. Ooh, NASA. 9/11. Hey, I've been vocal. 9/11 was an inside job. I told you. I mean, I was gonna say I was gonna do a 9/11 show, right? It's just so much information. I can't do it as one person and compile it and put it all together and make it coherent. With all the videos and everything. It's just a lot. So Tucker Carlson is doing a 9/11. He's released a 9/11 expose. Tucker Carlson. I think Tucker, you stole my idea. Doubt if Tucker even listens to my show, but he should. But yeah. So he's doing a 9/11. It's coming out. I think next week, September, next week or sometime. So I mean, but let me see. K9 Girl says, I think he's following through with some of the things he promised. Yeah, he has. He has on something, at least on paper. At least on paper. And then she says on other things he's going back on his word. Yeah, I mean he's done it on paper. I mean, have we seen? And I know it takes time because they just passed the bill, and I know it takes effect on whatever date. Someone can help me out on that. When does the big, beautiful, whatever bill, whatever they say, take effect? I mean, but until then, I guess we just won't know, right? We just won't know because I honestly didn't expect to be paying $4 for gas again right now. I have to use super unleaded in my vehicles, right? But I wasn't expecting them paying $4. I paid $4.03 today. I wasn't expecting that. Luckily, I live in Idaho where a bag of potatoes I can get for $1.57, or I can go up the street to the neighbors and just pick some. But I have very, very close friends that give me eggs. They have chicken, so I get my eggs from them, and I buy my beef from my cattle guy, so I don't have to go and buy beef from the supermarket. And go down to the farmer's market and get tomatoes and whatever vegetables. So I'm blessed in that area. But gas, man, shit. I was hoping it was going to be down around $3. But I understand things take time. So and I'm going to give them to 20. I mean, well, they only have till 2026 anyway. So if the Republicans take the House in 2026 and retain the Senate in 2026, then everything that we wanted, everything that they ran on should be able to be processed and given to us by 2028, correct? Am I right in saying that? Always right 2020. Welcome to the show. Hello. I see you. Thank you for tuning in. She says, or he, I'm sorry, you are blessed. I live in Tennessee where everything is prohibitive. I thought people were moving to Tennessee. I thought Tennessee was like a good place to be. I heard. But anyway, except Nashville, I hear it's kind of, oh. I mean, but am I right in saying that, right? If we win again in 2026, the House and the Senate, everything that he ran on and everything that was promised to us should be given to us by 2028, right? And then people are going to come, well, it's the judges. This is what happens when you invite communism into your systems. It's the judges now, okay? The judges are going to block everything. Everything has to go to the Supreme Court, right? It's like amazing. However, theoretically, they are, but the lefties are bringing their. Man, don't you hate that? I mean, and this is what they're trying to do in Idaho too, man. These lefties are trying to move in and bring their politics from California and all this shit, but we keep shooting them out of here, man. It's insane. But yeah, they move. I mean, they move and bring their politics. I think that's by design, though. It's almost like refugee resettlement, right? It's always like it's almost like refugee resettlement to prop up an area of, let's say, Muslims, right? So they have refugee resettlement of Democrats to go and prop up leftist areas in these red states. They got to take down the red states. I'm hoping you're right. Always right 2020. I like that name. So I hope you're right because I'm always right. Haven't been wrong yet, have I? Susan, have I? I don't know. But she says, God has spoken that we will have the House and Senate because God is cleansing our government and the judicial system. And from your lips to God's ears, let's hope you're right. He moved to Moscow because she was tired of California. Yeah, I heard a couple people moved to California there on their way back. They're like, what? They didn't believe us. I mean, but this is where we are right now. And so, I mean, we have RFK. Thank you, Susan. She says, you say it, JB, before it happens. It's Susan and I, we talk a lot. We have our gnomes, right? The gnomes. But we talk a lot about stuff, right? And she'll ask me something. I mean, well, I think this, and I don't know, maybe maybe I can read the future or something. I don't know, but thanks, Susan. But anyway, so RFK, man, got grilled up on the Hill by these Democrats. It's just so much theater up there, so much everything. And then it's like Trump shit on him, man. He's up here fighting vaccines, fighting for kids not to have vaccines, not, for parents to be able to choose if they want their kids to have vaccines or, and to make sure they're tested properly and getting rid of the COVID vaccine for school-aged children because, I mean, just, he's trying to help kids. And then Trump, in my opinion, he shit on him by saying, "Oh yeah, the vaccines are safe and they're good." I'm like, dude, this was after he got grilled by these Democrats and shit up on the Hill on, what was it, Thursday or Friday. So I'm like, man, I mean, what are you trying to do right now? What are you doing? What you're doing is not making any sense. Make it make sense for me. I know I'm not the brightest guy. I know I'm not the smartest guy, and I don't pretend to be. But make it make sense. Why would you go against what RFK is doing with these vaccines, man? Because warp speed, is it, and you guys can answer this. I'm gonna ask this to you. Is it because of warp speed? Because he ran so hard on warp speed, and he's still, even all the people that's sick and all the people that's vaccine injured. I mean, the warp speed, right? I broke with Trump on that part from day one, bro. You talking about warp? I mean, because you're talking about a virus that was 99%, right? It was 97.8% survival rate if you didn't have comorbidities. Children School age children, no, I think one child died of school age 0 to 18 during that whole time, and the kid had something else wrong with him, and he died with COVID, not of COVID. And a lot of these deaths, they say were COVID, was not COVID related. They were other reason related, but they had COVID, and it was all about money. It was about all this other stuff. So the warp speed, right? Is he so embedded in that? And so if he goes back, I mean, what if he just say, "Hey," I mean, because people come, okay, well, he was. I mean, he came out and he said he wants the proof from all of the vaccine companies, that the information that he was told was correct. So he's having some revelation about that, right? That maybe he wasn't given the correct information, and even some of us said that. Well, you know, for in his defense, right? He was listening to Fauci. He was listening to Dr. Birx. He was listening to all of these scientists and all these people about the vaccine companies. He was listening to them, safe and effective. So he did this warp speed, which was, in my opinion, was the worst thing you ever could have did was create something that it's not tested like it normally would be for 10, 20 years or whatever. You gave it because people were calling for it, but you just don't give people something because they were calling for it. If you're the leader of a country, you're supposed to use listen to people around you, but use your gut, use your intuition. You're supposed to have this high IQ and use your intuition, what's supposed to be best for the people. I don't think warp speed was best for the people. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. Louis says, in my opinion, it's time for Americans to reclaim the territory we have ceded to the left, and the battlefield today is digital with social media platforms and weapons. I agree. That's why I do this show. Louis, that's why I do this show. I don't do this show because I truly don't have anything else to do, because I can be doing a lot of things. It doesn't get dark here till like 10 o'clock at night in the summer, man. On Sunday, I could be out, water rafting and whitewater rafting and fishing or something till 10 o'clock at night. But this is why I do the show, and who was that? Always right. So I was pushed out of a job in Nevada for refusing the jab. I'm glad you refused it. I'm glad you are a pure blood. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. I'm glad you're pure blood. You've come to the right place, because most of us, I believe, that watch this show are pure bloods. Most of the jobs have mRNA jabs have mRNA in them, and they're spraying crap on lettuce, tomatoes, and cucumbers. Yeah, Carolyn, and that's why I'm glad I have farmers here. I'm glad where I am, I have farmers. I don't have to buy anything from the grocery store. I can go up the road, a couple of hours and get fresh dairy milk, or if I needed to. Susan says, could someone be threatening Trump through, I don't know, what is that, religion or something, to say, I don't know what them little signs mean, to say these things all of a sudden? Yeah, his family could be getting threatened. I mean, it's possible that some of his family, maybe not him, maybe some of his family has been caught up in a honeypot trap of Israel, or some of Israel's blackmail. I'm sure. I mean, his son-in-law, I'm sure he's caught up in a lot of the Israeli stuff, the Israel stuff over there, his son-in-law. So, Jared Kushner. Sorry to hear that. Always right. Remdesivir was a killer. Say, have you watched Whitney Webb's information about Epstein? It's great. Lisa, I don't know. Whitney Webb. I may have. I may have seen that. But Carolyn says, his freaking dumbass screwed Afghanistan with that withdrawal. Kamala brought it up in debate and dropped it like a hot potato. Um, I think we should have withdrew Afghanistan when he was still president. He shouldn't have left that. He shouldn't have left that to Biden. But again, we moved too slow, right? We moved too slow, knowing that there's an opportunity that the Democrats can take control again. What your ass need to be doing is going warp speed on these cases. You need to be going warp speed on these arrests. You need to be going warp speed on holding these motherfuckers accountable for COVID. These vaccine companies and Fauci, and you need to go warp speed on the people that set up the January 6 Sixers. You need to go warp speed on them. You need to go warp speed on Ilhan Omar wealth going from 45,000 to 30 million in 1 year. You need to go warp speed investigating some shit like that. So you want to go warp speed on some shit? I'll give you some warp speed stuff that you can go after. And I'm gonna say this, not and always right. I don't know you, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way. Okay, but I'm tired of the 5D chess stuff. You know how long I've been hearing? Oh, he's playing through. Well, first it was 3D chess, right? Well, Trump's playing 3D chess. He's a move in front of everybody. It's okay. So now it's going from 3D chess to 5D chess, and I'm not making joke of it of you, always right. So don't take offense to this, but I'm I mean, because running for Congress in 2020 and 2022 taught me a lot about the people that are serving us, supposed to be serving us, but are lording over us. I learned a lot about them. And I learned a lot about theatrics, and I learned a lot about the bullshit that goes on up in DC. A lot of this stuff, they're making deals behind the scenes, right? That screw over the American people. I'm just here to tell you. Biden is dead, actors. I don't doubt that either. And remove the squad. Definitely need to remove the squad. I mean, but we have to not fall into this trap of, okay, he's playing 5D chess. I'm a chess player too. I'm a very, very good chess player. And at some point, you got to call check. At some point, especially with people watching, you ever been at a chess tournament? People want to see somebody put in check, because then it's like, oh, we're close to the end of the game. We're close to the end of the game. We haven't called check yet. And I mean, even with the Bondi stuff and the DNI from Tulsi Gabbard, I mean, they raided the dude's house, and he wasn't there because I'm sure he was tipped off at 7:30 in the morning. So it's like, it may be playing 5D chess, but somebody is giving away the moves ahead of time. Let's say that, okay? So I want to see check. It doesn't even have to be checkmate right now, but I want to see somebody put in check. If we're playing 5D, 3D, we're playing chess. I want to see Trump. I want to see the Trump administration put one person in check. Just one. I'm talking about a real check, not just a threat move where they can maneuver out of it. Oh, that was a good move, but blocked you, right? Made a counter move to where your move was useless, right? And I'm with Jackie. We need to see some pawns moved off the board. Jackie says, still waiting for pawns to be removed off the board. Yeah, we haven't even seen any pawns removed off the board. So when we start seeing some of these bad pawns right? Okay, so since the white hat, so we're the white team, right? Okay, so we have the white pieces. Here we go, right? Because they talk about the white hats, right? So we're the white pieces. I need to start seeing some of them black pawns moved off the board, arrested, taken into custody. This is what people need to see. If we're playing chess, when are the pawns going to be moved off the board? I'm just asking questions. Okay, always right says get your popcorn. You know how long I've had popcorn for so long it's stale. I I literally had my popcorn for so long it's stale because I remember this. Well, if I was president, you'd be in prison. I had my popcorn because you'd be in jail. What was it, right? Well, because if I was president, you'd be in jail. I had my popcorn, man. I was ready. Hillary Clinton's going to jail. We finally got her. We finally got her. Trump's about to. I had my popcorn. Yeah, man, they caught Epstein. Epstein list about to get released, man. All of these people are about to go down. They got the videos, they got the list, they got the computers, they got the laptops. Hell, I'm still waiting. I still got popcorn from Wiener's laptop. It's just stale as hell. Had my popcorn. I'm tired of eating popcorn. Tired of getting the popcorn out. Many have been removed. Think movie. Oh, well, here it is. I'm not the big Q guy. You know, I've read read some of the Q stuff and 17. I'm still waiting for people to be moved off the board. We're talking Q, right? I'm still waiting on pawns to be removed off the board. Yeah, I honestly believe I'm watching a movie. I honestly believe that. Totally, totally watching a movie. I see all the theatrics in DC. You know you're watching a movie. All you got to do is watch Congress. All you got to do is watch all these testimonies up on the Hill. All you got to do is just watch DC. You are watching a movie, and we are getting played by the movie. Always right. Say try some gummies instead. Okay. I like you. Say try some gummies instead of popcorn. Yeah, they last a little longer, right? They get stuck to my teeth. I can chew on them a little longer. All right, just for you always, right? I'm getting me some. I'm gonna go get gummies, but I don't want my gummies to get stale. I want them to get hard. I don't want them to get hard. Okay. But yeah, we are watching the movie. We're watching a theater. It's called 1984. Watching the movie called 1984. I mean, but I mean, so we're gonna keep watching. We're gonna keep hoping. We're gonna keep praying that something is gonna happen to help the American people, not harm the American people. And there's $4.03 a gallon for gas is not helping me not one bit. And but hey, I'm still on board the Trump train. I mean, there's no reason to get off now, but I am pointing shit out while I'm on the train. I'm pointing it out, and like I said, if you guys don't like me to do that, or I mean, it just is what it is, and I'm sorry. Turn the channel, change the channel, whatever you need to do. But I hope you won't, because you're only going to get the truth here. You're only going to get the unedited, uncensored, unscripted, unfiltered, unapologetic truth on this show. You're not going to get no ass kissing. You're not going to get no cult like behavior. I'm going to give it to you straight the way I see it. And And if you believe it or not believe it, or then, I mean, just go do your own research. Go do some things. Like Trump was never an informant. Go do your research on Trump being an informant. Don't attack me by telling me I hate Trump and I'm not going to follow you anymore because your hatred for Trump is just too much for me. And I say this, and I'll continue to say this. Prove me wrong, and I'll shut up. I mean, I bring receipts to everything I say. I have receipts for everything. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. That's all I'm saying. And I pray that God is fixing this country. And let's do it. I'm all for that. I'm all for that because Satan has had a reign in this country and continue to run this country. And we need God in this country to save this country. No doubt about that. And like Always Right says, we don't want no snowflakes. Can't be no snowflakes up in here. Can't be no snowflakes up in here. I mean, and the people that's been watching my show for years now and following, hey, we know how we get down, right? And K9 says, why the heck has nobody been held accountable for the fake pandemic? Well, your question, your answer is as good as mine. And here, I'm going to show you. Okay, so I have a list that I put out, right? I have this. So I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this to you because, I mean, this is where I'm at. And until some of this happens, right? Until some of this happens, I'm going to keep talking about it. Okay? There have been 0 arrests for the Russian collusion hoax. 0. There has been 0 arrests for January 6th setup. 0. Except the ones that were set up. 0 arrests for this fake Mar-a-Lago raid. And they've even come out and said that the FBI planted the evidence. They took the picture. Why aren't those guys even arrested? The ones that took the picture of supposedly the top secret information, they're not even arrested. The Biden auto pen, 0 arrest. The 2020 election, 0. Epstein pedophile arrest, 0. COVID, 0. Benghazi, 0. Doge finding, 0. The Ukraine impeachment hoax, 0. 0. 0. So until one of those has a 1 by it, I'm going to keep saying what I'm saying. The Trump administration needs to get off their ass, get out of bed with these fucking oligarchs, get out of bed with the tech bros. He's in bed with the tech bros. He's, giving over all of our information, the rights to our information, to an AI company, Palantir. Well, how do you think that's going to turn out for us? How do you think that's going to turn out for us? With AI controlling all of our information? Really? Really? That's what you guys voted for? I didn't. I didn't vote for that shit. I didn't vote for AI to take over my life. Jackie says, time for we the people to flip the tables. Yeah, we need to be like Jesus. We need to start flipping some tables. But they'll arrest you for that shit. Expecting everyone else to do it. But I'll give it this. President Trump has only been in office for 9 months. I'm with you. That's why I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Has a lot going on. He has a lot going on. People say he has so much to go. Okay, but understand, again, he only has so much time before there's nothing going to get done. Or how I would say, ain't shit going to get done. He has until November 2026, and it's over. It's done. The reign is over. If we don't win the House and the Senate, Always Right says God has changed that, so we're going to win in 2026. I'm with you. But we need to start putting some 1s next to these items that I just named off, all right? So anyway, I'm about to go call my son. I'm about to go have him FaceTime me with my grandbaby because I can't be there. And I'll see y'all next week, most likely. Most likely. Same time, same place. In my new studio, Rumble. Hope you guys come over to Rumble. Go to Rumble channel, search Jerome Bell. I put the chat. I put it up in the chat over on Getter. Subscribe to my page over here. Follow the page over here, and let's come over here and chat so everybody can see what everybody is saying. Because I'm following Rumble and I'm following Getter, and I'm trying to put you all together because it's a great crowd. I mean, you guys will really love each other. You guys will really love each other. So the only way I can do that is if everybody comes over to Rumble. You can still, flow on Getter, but just run it on Rumble too. Just open up another window, run it on Rumble, and okay, so we can roll. Always right. I hope you come back. Stay. We have fun here. And so I'm glad you're not a snowflake. All right. Glad you're not a snowflake. But we'll see y'all next week. Same time, same place. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Radical Republicans live show. And so we'll just go out like this tonight. Love y'all. Peace.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the